Fantastic. Welcome to this live session, Trademarks. Now, I know a lot of people, a lot of our founders and entrepreneurs, when they register their business or their company, that's the last thing, the first and the last thing they do about legal for their business until maybe there's a legal issue and everything where they have to reach out to a lawyer. But there's one very important but neglected aspect of our businesses as entrepreneurs that we don't pay attention to, and it's intellectual property. And that's why in today's session, I brought an expert in intellectual property who will be teaching us all that we need to know about trademarks. And trust me, this is a session, this is a video that you should pay very close attention. Have a pen and a paper, make sure you note the things that you're learning. And of course, if you're live, you can ask us questions once we are done with all the things we want to discuss. It's good to have you here, Ololade. Thank you for coming to this YouTube channel, for honoring our invitation. We do not take it for granted at all. Thank you so much.
It's a pleasure to be here too. Thank you for the invitation.
Also, so let's start with the basics. What is trademark? Because I know I don't want to assume that we all know trademarks. So let's start with what exactly is trademark? Just a simple definition of trademarks.
So, trademark basically is a type of intellectual property protection that protects your brand, that protects your business name, or that protects a particular company's logo. So there are different kinds of intellectual property protection, but trademark basically is a type of protection that enables you to secure your brand and to secure your logo and your business name in the market. So that's the simple definition of trademarks.
Wow. So it's all about brand protection. And trust me, as an entrepreneur myself, I know how important it is to protect the brand because I mean, we do go through a lot building the brand. So protecting this is something that I'm sure that a lot of business owners need to pay attention to. You talked about the logo, you talked about protecting our name. So that means that even though I have a company that is registered and the name is registered with the CAC, does that cover the trademark? Does that mean that I that name is protected?
Not at all. So you see, there's a difference between protecting your trademark and registering your business, right? So when you register a business with the Corporate Affairs Commission, you've simply notified CAC that you have an ongoing business and that you're using that business to make profit. And the reason why you've notified CAC so that you can do all the necessary documentations, you can have all the records, have all the filings with CAC to be able to conduct your business in accordance with the law. So it has nothing to do with protecting the name, right? What
Wow.
guarantees the ownership of that name is the fact that you've lodged a registration application with CAC and you have your certificate, right? So there's a difference between even getting the acceptance letter and getting all those which is when you have the certificate of trademark that you own the trademark in that business, right? So there's a big difference between having to notify CAC that you have an ongoing entity and having to actually register your trademark with the trademark registry. So it's a different ballgame entirely. So we tell entrepreneurs that there's a strategy to it because many people
Yes.
are not keen about it. And when they see
Yes.
that somebody else is using their names, then they will start calling a lawyer. I saw this, I saw that. So there
Mm,
has to be that forecasting, or let me use the word, there has to be that proactiveness in terms
yes.
of how you engage your business on that level. So you need to be proactive. Are we doing CSC? Are we trademarking a particular sub brand? So there are different ways. You might not even trademark the name of the business, but you can create a distinct brand that is trademarked but not even registered with CAC. So I'll give an
Mm,
example now. I run an organization, right? We have a company registered with CAC, but I have different brands under that company. One of that brand is IP Business Capital. IP Business Capital is a brand. So we have
mm,
trademarked that name, but we didn't trademark the general company's name that is lodged with CAC. We trademark the brand because there's what IP Business Capital has to stand for in the minds of the people who hear those brands, or in the minds of the people who come in contact with that brand. So we are trying to
mm.
secure that brand because of the work we want to do in that space. I don't know if you understand what I'm saying. So the fact that you
Yeah.
lodged a notification with CAC does not mean that the name is protected. What guarantees ownership over that name is the trademark certification.
Wow, wow. Thank you so much. And you said something very important. You said we can have a business, we can have a company, for instance, that then has different brands under it. And I love how you used your brand as an example. So for instance, I could have a company and then maybe I want to do different businesses under it. And then I want it to be under different brands. So we can trademark those brands as different from the company itself. So what can a
Yeah.
business trademark? You made mention of a logo, but I want us to do something more detailed, talk in more details about what exactly. I'm a business owner, for instance. I have a digital marketing company or I have a tech company. What do you advise that I trademark?
There are different things you can trademark, but let's start with the fundamental things. You can trademark the name of your business. So if the name of your business is um Nspiro, you see,
Mm,
the name of your business is Nspiro, you can actually trademark that name, right? You can take it
okay.
to the, you can run a search over it and trademark it. So you can trademark the name of the business. You can trademark your product. If you're a very creative entrepreneur and you've launched different product lines, you can pick one product line that you feel like is very unique in the market, has a high competitive edge, and you want the name to stand out because there's a relationship between branding and trademarking. You want that name to
Yes.
stand out in the minds of your consumers because you're giving them an experience with that name. So you also want to trademark that product, right? Or
Okay.
you want to trademark that sub brand. So take for example, now you can also trademark an artist's name. So you see those in the entertainment space, most of them they do a lot of trademarking because they use their name for licensing, they use their name for merchandising. And before you get
Mm,
into all those critical IP transactions, you want to be sure that you have ownership over those IP rights. So that
yeah.
when it's time to enforce those rights, you can call back to record and say, hey, we have ownership over this thing. So there's a limit to which you can use it. There's a limit to which you can take advantage of it. And then that forms the basis of all other contracts that follow. So you see people in the entertainment space, you see artists trademarking their names, you see band groups trademarking their names, right? So that's the
Yeah.
business and commercial aspect of trademarking. Okay, so if you want to trademark something, it's also important that you consult a trademark attorney, right? Because they will
Yeah.
advise you on the kind of name that can fly. Because it will
Mm,
get to a point where a name can become generic or an household name. You see, fantastic, like kerosene was a brand, kerosene was
wow.
trademarked.
Wow.
Yes, it became generic.
Um,
Everybody started calling one the thing kerosene, and that was it, and it went off. You understand? So you want to consult an IP attorney who can advise you. There are different types of names. There are generic names. There are household names. There are different kinds of names, right? That can actually be trademarked. So the IP attorney has that understanding. The IP attorney is going to run a freedom to operate search for you. They're going to advise you on the name that can fly, right? And
okay.
when you're an entrepreneur, you're a creative entrepreneur, you're creating different things. You want to ensure that you also have a standard brand guidelines for what you're doing, so that even if you're going to partner with people, there's a way people should be able to use your brand. There's a way people should be able to use your logo, right? So another thing that you can also trademark is your logo. I do lots of trademarking for names and logos, especially logos that are very distinct. I file them together. So I recently filed an application for a consulting firm, they're a financial advisory consulting firm. So they reached out to us, to do some IP strategy for them and trademarking for them. We got into consulting sections and I could actually see that their logo stood out. They designed that logo in-house, but every part of that logo stands for something. That's the power of logo. So
Yes.
if you're doing that kind of investment, if that kind of investment is going into your brand assets, that kind of
Mm,
investment is going into your logo, going into the name, why do you think you don't need to protect it? So you have to reach out that look, we're investing in some of these assets, and our consumers can identify our brand with these assets. So we want to protect it. So we had to file the trademark. So we had to protect with the logo. So you can file for the logo and file for the name as well. It comes together in
Okay.
one application. So these are some of the
Okay.
examples of things that you can. And the truth is, as you get, if with a solid understanding of trademark, as you get into the business of your industry, and you start to play, you need to bear those things in mind, that what exactly are the assets that I'm trading with? These
Mm.
assets, can they be patented? Can they be traded? Because there's what qualifies for trademark too. Okay, so can it be patented? Can it be trademarked? You understand? So it's a business strategy. It's not just something that exists outside the business. You want to be able to look at the entire asset and say, which one, as we are going into this market, probably we want to get into the US market. How are we going to
Mm.
position? What branding strategy? We need to
Oh,
trademark this name in US so that when we get there, we can be closely identified with this brand. You see that is a
mm.
part of the business strategy. It's not separate from it.
Definitely.
So this is why
Definitely.
trademarking is very important. So you want to understand that you can trademark your name as an artist, you can trademark your business name, you can trademark your sub brands, your logos, any
Products.
distinct, yes, any distinct asset that has a name, a unique name that can fly. You can
Wow.
trademark it. Yeah.
Thank you so much. This has been so helpful and so insightful. I'm sure that those who are watching will agree that trademark is something that we can't neglect, because apparently there's a lot to look at when it comes to protecting your brand as a business owner. So, what's the procedure if you want to trademark an asset for our business? What does the procedure look like?
So if you want to trademark your business asset, you need to first run a search, right, at the trademark
Yes.
registry. Now the search is done online. The search is done manually. We don't have an application to do a search online in Nigeria, right? So you have to run the search manually, which means that you have to reach out to people at Abuja. You run the search manually, right? After running the
Mm.
search manually, then the next thing is to proceed to the filing. If the name is available, you can proceed to filing. Now, this is where the assistance of an IP professional comes in, right? So if the name is not available, you can now sit with the IP professional and say, okay, what other name can we create? You know,
Great.
you
Okay.
sit with the branding team, you sit with the IP professional, then they advise you on the suitability of the name. Okay, this name can fly. This name is too generic. This name is unique, because the name has to be
Mm.
unique and the name has to be distinct, right? So once you're done with the
Yeah.
search, if it's available, you proceed to filing. That filing, you gather all the necessary documents that are related to the brand. You do the application online. You make payments. When make payment, you get your acceptance, your letter of acceptance, and your letter of acknowledgement. Now,
Yes.
those letter of acceptance and letter of acknowledgement is just an indication that you filed a notification or you filed an application at the registry. It doesn't mean that you have ownership over the trademark. Now, once you're done
Yes.
with that, the next thing is to wait for publication. When publication is out, there are two ways to go about it. You keep, because you're working for your client, you have to keep charge. Okay, you have to be in charge of, you have to keep watching for when the trademark publications, because it's not always consistently out. That's why you have to
Mm.
be in touch with people in the registry. Once the trademark is out, once the publication is out, I mean, then what the publication simply does is that they're going to put out a list of trademark, or a list of potential trademarks application, right? So that anybody in the public who wants to contend it, can then come and say, within a period of 3 months, we don't want this trademark name to fly. It's infringing with our own trademark name. People who want to oppose the registration of that trademark. That's where you now have the opposition tribunal section, where there's the lawyer on the other side, there's the client on the other side, there's also the lawyer representing both clients, and they come together to resolve that issue, right? So it's called the opposition, section, where they come together to resolve that issue. So there is always a judge or some sort of tribunal lead over that procedure that will now determine if the trademark will fly or if it will be cancelled. So you see why the letter of acceptance is not
Does not.
necessarily the final, is not
Mm.
necessarily the final. So you keep tabs on things like that. Once there's a publication that is available at the registry, you make a purchase. You make a purchase of that publication. You check for your clients to see if it will fly. And then after a period of 3 months, if there's no opposition, then fantastic. You can proceed to the final stage, which is the certification stage,
Okay.
and then the trademark certificate to be issued, right? We issued that. So that's just a summary of the entire process of how
Wow.
a trademark, and it takes a long time as well. It takes about 1 year plus for you to eventually get your certificate. So yeah.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. So I have to add that Ololade is intellectual property lawyer. So I'll be putting a link in the description box for those who are watching. If you need to apply for trademarks, trust me, trademark is not something you can do by yourself. Although she explained it in just 5 minutes, but it's something you need an experienced professional to handle for you. So it's important that you use someone who is tested and trusted and who can advise you, because it's not just about just taking something and trademarking it. It's part of your branding strategy, just like she said. So it's important to trademark the right things. So you can also contact her using the link below. And she has an ebook. Please tell us about your book. She has an ebook on your intellectual property, and everyone needs to read that book.
Okay, so let me say a bit about the book. The name of the book is How to Profit from Your Intellectual Property. So some of the questions we get from so many innovators and so many creatives is that, which IP are we protecting? How do we identify the suitable IP to protect? What strategy
Yes.
works most for our business growth plan? So you want to be sure that you are protecting the right intellectual property. You're not just doing any kind of intellectual property protection. You want to be sure that you're protecting an IP that is key to the growth of your business. And that's where the strategy comes in. So that book will help you to identify the various IP assets in your business. You will see how exactly to go about protection. You know, you'll be able to understand how to even profit from your IP. I think there's a free licensing template there as well. So if you're a newbie, right, you can check it out and see how exactly you can maximize the value in the book. So it gives you a fundamental knowledge of how to go about intellectual property. What do I need to know? How do I get started? I hear people ask lots of questions. What's the difference between trademark and patent? What's the difference between
Yes.
copyright? How do I know what copyright is? What qualifies for copyright protection? All of these questions, you get them answered. And it's just 3,500. Very cheap, right? So click on the
That's
link.
the
I mean, very cheap. Click on the link, make a purchase. I'm sure that you will really, like what you meet in the book, and it's really going to help you on your journey to protecting your intellectual property assets. Yeah.
awesome. Thank you so much, Ololade. This has been very helpful for me, even as a business lawyer myself. I've learned a lot from it. And I'm sure that those who are watching and those who will be watching the replay too are learning a lot. So if you have questions, we can type in our questions now and we'll take the questions really quickly. For those who will be watching the replay, if you have questions too, you can type your questions in the comment section, and hopefully would see how we can get Ololade to give an answer. And I've put a link to the book. So purchase a copy of Ololade's book, How to Profit from Your Intellectual Property. And it's for everyone. Whether you're a business owner, or you're a creative, you're a tech founder, you have something distinct that you do. You have a distinct solution that you create. It's something that this is a book that everyone needs to have. Make sure you get your copy. So let me see if we have any questions as we round up. Okay, we don't have any questions for now, but we will be checking back later for those who have questions, and then I can get Ololade to answer the questions. Thank you so much, Ololade, for doing this. It has been an amazing time. I hope that if we call on you for another session another time, you would be glad to oblige us.
Definitely. Definitely.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you everyone who's watched this video. And I have a lot more videos, helpful videos for business on my channel. So make sure to watch them and learn and enjoy. The next time when we have a session like this, it's a bye for now.